Hey guys, it's Protendo, and I think it's fair to assume that almost all of us are waiting for Animal Crossing New Horizons' next big update. I mean, sure, there's millions of people who are playing and enjoying the game as it currently is, but as time moves forward, more and more fans seem to be distancing themselves from the latest Animal Crossing entry, seemingly waiting for a big new feature to pull them back in. And while absolutely nothing is confirmed about the next update, not even the date or month of its release, I do think there's reason to believe that this next New Horizons update could be major. Now, I get that it feels like people say this before every New Horizons update. Everyone in the community gets all excited, hoping that Brewster or Cap'n or Tortimer's Island will finally be added to the game in the newest update, only for Nintendo to reveal a Mario pipe or something. But I believe that the circumstances of this next update give it a much higher chance of actually being something notable, so let's stop wasting time and get into why that may be the case. The first thing I want to talk about is how the New Horizons updates have slowly been decreasing in content over these past few months. I know that sounds like it's actually working against my points, but trust me on this. When New Horizons first started getting updates around this time last year, they were actually pretty meaty, despite generally being old things from New Leaf, many of which should have been here from the beginning, but that doesn't need to be discussed in this video. The first one in April added Leaf and Red to the game, giving us 2 new shopkeepers as well as an upgrade to the museum. Additionally, various mini-holidays were added throughout the spring, like Nature Day, International Museum Day, and Wedding Season, the quality of which is up for debate, but again, not something that really has to be discussed. Following that, we got the first half of the summer update in July. This added swimming and diving, giving us access to a whole new set of creatures to gather for the museum. It also gave us a couple of characters, being Pascal and Gullivar, neither of which are massive inclusions, but hey, a character's a character. The second half of the summer update in August added the fireworks shows, along with the new items that came with them, and Dreaming, the latter of which is a massive feature that was heavily requested for by fans. I'm not going to go through every single update in 2020 because it would get really boring and half this video would just be me reading off a list of things already in the game. But the point is that a lot of these updates were giving us decent amounts of content, despite the additions being old features from the series. Most of them gave players access to something entirely new to New Horizons, and said things were somewhat time-consuming, for the most part. But when looking at the updates we've received this year, the same simply can't be said. Starting off in January, we've got the Festival update, the only major feature of which being Festival itself. The only thing that was included in an update we waited the normal amount of time for was a one-day holiday and the furniture that came with it. While Turkey Day and Toy Day didn't give us anything major in terms of new features, they at least were part of the same update and included the inclusive hairstyle pack as well as a handful of new reactions. January didn't do the same. Following the Festival update, we were given the Mario update in February. Admittedly, the wait for this one was much shorter than usual, being released 1 month after the previous update. But even then, many were still taken aback by the complete lack of content present, including myself. The only thing added were the Mario items, which seems pretty self-explanatory, but was still disappointing considering the last update wasn't anything mind-blowing either. Sure, the pipe is cool, but it's hardly anything that will have players interested enough to keep coming back to the game. And that brings us to the present with the latest update, being the Sanrio update released on March 18th, an even shorter window of time than the previous gap between updates. And while this definitely featured more than the Mario update, it still wasn't anything substantial or even comparable to any of the first year's editions. We of course have the stars of the show, the Sanrio animals, but let's face it, while they're cute, they're technically just paywalled content that people are having an extremely hard time gaining access to. The best thing in this update was easily the addition of 50 new design slots, meaning that I can finally get new path borders for my stone walkways, which is absolutely a victory in my eyes. But once again, nothing substantial was added in the way of features or characters. So, what does this all have to do with the big update coming? It kinda makes it sound like the updates might just keep getting worse. I wouldn't blame you for thinking that, because that's what I thought at first too. And let's be real, there's still a very good chance of that being the case. But what I think is a more likely and logical reason as to why the updates are getting less and less content is that something's being worked on in the background. As we all know, game development is never just focusing on the now, but always has you looking ahead. The next Animal Crossing update is literally being worked on as we speak. And while I'm obviously no developer myself, the content we're currently getting doesn't seem to properly reflect the time spent working on it. I mean, sure, they've been coming out quicker, which is, well, not exactly nice, but I guess interesting. But even then, I'd argue that a lot of the updates in 2020 were absolutely more than double what we're currently getting. And it's not like this was a subtle and gradual drop in quality either. Nope, as soon as we got to 2021, the updates took a very notable nosedive in terms of content. So to me, it wouldn't be all that surprising if the reason for that nosedive was because a major update was being worked on in the background of all these smaller ones. Because frankly, I kind of doubt it's taking this long to add what's mostly been a lot of items. But speaking of these smaller updates, they also kind of coincide with this theory. I don't know if this was just me, but I was genuinely surprised that the Mario update and the Sanrio update weren't merged into one. I mean, both of them were very light on content and could have easily worked well together, with the focus mainly being on specially themed furniture items. Especially since the window between the Festival update and the Sanrio update is much more similar to the spaces between past updates. But then, it hit me. I think they're trying to do filler. That may sound ridiculous and somewhat harsh, but I think it actually might be for a very good reason. Because the Mario New Horizons update was version 1.8 and the Sanrio update was version 1.9, meaning that the next update will be Animal Crossing New Horizons version 2.0. For those who aren't aware, gaming updates for the most part tend to be more substantial on updates 2.0, 3.0, 4.0, etc., more so than what's in between. So if Nintendo is planning something big for New Horizons, which, considering the game's popularity, would probably be a good idea, it would make perfect sense for them to want to release it as version 2.0. And that might just explain the tiny, somewhat underwhelming updates we've gotten as of late. They're a way for them to raise the version number to its most ideal point. On top of all this, we just passed New Horizons' first anniversary, meaning that this is the perfect opportunity to breathe some new life into the game. Something that will excite those who've put the game down for a little too long, and also pull in new players, potentially some who've held off on the game while waiting for some more exciting features. The final thing I want to mention are data mines that we've gotten from New Horizons. If you've somehow avoided hearing about these, feel welcome to leave the video now, but these are almost a year old, so chances are you know what I'm talking about. Stuff like Brewster, the cafe, gyroids, vegetables, these are things we almost know for certain are coming to the game. It's just a matter of when. And considering the fact that other datamined features like Red's boat and diving were added to the game a very long while ago, I think it's likely that we see these things sooner than later. It's possible that they were delayed because of the pandemic, or maybe they were always planned to come out this late, it's hard to say. But anyways, those are all the reasons why I think New Horizons might be getting a big update relatively soon. I tried not to let my hopes get in the way of seeing things logically, but I'd be lying if I said I didn't want something major really, really bad. But as always, I'd love to hear what you guys think. Is New Horizons actually going to get a huge new update soon, or are things going to follow the trend of the more mediocre additions we've been getting? Or maybe you don't think these additions have been mediocre at all. Whatever the case, let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you all later. Protendo, out.